One of the biggest lessons has definitely been a good reminder that personal finance is definitely personal, and there are so many different ways that you can do things and get ahead, and so many different hacks and life paths, and just you can always change your mind, which is great.
Welcome back to the Get Rich Slow Club. I'm Anna and I'm here with Tash, and this is a very special episode because we are celebrating our 200th episode.
That's pretty wild. That's a lot of episodes.
That's a lot of episodes.
I feel like, I don't know, it's almost like thinking about time a bit where it's like, wow.
Where did the time go?
But it feels like it's been a lot, but it also hasn't been much at all.
Well, I just got asked, like, how long have you been doing the podcast for? And I was like,
2.5 years.
Like, I didn't, it was wild. I didn't even realize that it was like 2.5. I was like, I had to think because it feels like yesterday, but it also feels like we've been doing this forever.
Yeah, it's crazy. So thank you. If you stuck around for 200 episodes, it's very impressive.
Oh my gosh. You know, and the other thing that I was thinking about, Tash, was like how far we've come from our first episodes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like we have finally gotten to a little bit of a routine, not too much, but we have a little bit of a routine now.
Well, even just when we first sat down to do this podcast, we had to like conceptualize everything. Like, how did we want to put the podcast together? What were the first episodes? What were the key points we wanted to kind of like drive home?
How do you even record a podcast? What software do you use? What do you even do with the files once you have them?
All of that. We had to learn everything. What was the music? What disclaimers? What was the name of the podcast? Everything. And we actually kind of sat down and hashed out the first couple episodes, like the first 10 episodes, because we're like, if we want people to listen, we want them to actually know how to invest, and let's first lay that out. And then we will go explore.
Yeah, we started very to the point, which is what I liked, where it was like, you can listen. We want to take you from beginner to confident investor was our original tagline in the first 10 to 20 episodes. And it was very structured and laid out very well. And then we've kind of been doing a little bit more random stuff, which is good to explore other things. But I'd love to hear your thoughts if you were here at the start, what you think around how we started out versus the episodes we kind of do now. Because sometimes I want to go back and do more structured ones again. But then I also love chats like this. So
yeah, back and forth. Well, after we recorded our first 10 episodes, we got a bunch of interviews in, and that was really fun. I think from the beginning, we really did want to have an eclectic group of voices, people from different backgrounds, different perspectives, different parts of their financial journey. But also a lot of people that we talked to didn't maybe have the most typical financial journey either, right? Like neither of us studied finance or worked in finance. Well, technically I work in finance now.
You do now.
I do now, but I have an art degree. You also have like
a healthcare
degree, like complete opposite of where we are now, which I think is kind of a testament to our stories and also the people we've had on the podcast in terms of not having to all be in finance. Like,
yes.
We all have different journeys.
One of the biggest lessons has definitely been a good reminder that personal finance is definitely personal, and there are so many different ways that you can do things and get ahead, and so many different hacks and life paths, and just you can always change your mind, which is great.
Also, I think like this podcast has also opened a lot of new opportunities and doors for both of us.
Yes. Podcasts are definitely a networking hack, because I feel like in everyday life, it's quite hard to message around in person and say, let's go for coffee. Because a lot of the time it's like, oh, what am I getting from this? I don't know you. That makes no sense. But podcasts, people take them quite seriously, which is good. Kind of like a book as well. People think like it's quite a legitimate thing. And it's like a nice two-way exchange where you get to chat to someone you're interested in and want to learn more about, but they also get to promote themselves as well.
Yeah, I love some of the guests that we've had on the show. Of course, we've had some of our good friends that we know. And I would say a lot of those friends that we had on the podcast are people that we've learned while kind of being in this industry. Like,
yeah, I've met some of my friends from this podcast.
Exactly.
Like I was interested in a person, invited them on, and then became friends with them. Like Harry and Kobe, they both came on the podcast one of the first times I met them.
Well, we've had like Evan Lucas, we've had Lacey Philippich, Maddie from Money Lounge, Emma from Broke Generation, like Brandon from New Money. Like all these people are people that we see on a regular basis when we're out in the finance community or not, right?
Yes. And it was really cool. Sometimes Instagram feels like you can be made to feel a little bit trivial, right? It's like, oh, you're just an influencer. So it was really cool to get to chat to politicians on the podcast and like people who feel like they're in a different world to you. It's been a fun excuse to get to chat to them in real life.
And I know we've gotten some slack on like stay out of politics because, you're a finance podcast. But I think having these people on the podcast is so crucial because politics and finances are interwoven with one another, right? You can't have policy that doesn't affect you financially, right? Like money is a political tool to get ahead, to build wealth, to have opportunity, but also it affects every single aspect of our life. So having politicians is really important to have these discussions around money.
And you might as well ask the people who create the policy or enforce the policy. what they think about it or why they've chosen it or what they're doing about something.
Yeah, because the more we know, the more we'll better navigate our own finances as well, holistically, individually, or collectively as a society. We also have evolved in our financial journey since starting this podcast. Where were you at the beginning? Like, I guess 2.5 years ago.
I think I was just about to quit my job. Or maybe we did the podcast for the first month or two before.
You were still at your job.
Yeah, because I remember trying to juggle it. It was quite challenging. Yeah, so I was in Perth and I was working 3 days a week as a positive behavior support practitioner in PBS, which is crazy. And now I am in Melbourne.
Yeah, and we recorded our first couple episodes remotely too, because we were trying to like make it work.
Because I was in Perth and then I moved to Canberra for a year and now I spent a year in Melbourne, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I remember being excited that you were coming to Melbourne because it was easier to do things in person.
Yes, more people to meet in Melbourne. Yeah, life has changed so much. It's crazy.
And since then, also your financial journey has evolved as well.
Yes, I bought another property. I am full-time self-employed now. I've hired a team member as well, which is really fun. So yeah, things just keep growing.
Isn't that wild?
Growth everywhere, compounding everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like some of the things that have happened in my life as well is my financial trajectory has continued on. I still have little humans. It's now I feel like I'm at that part where like I've gotten everything in place and it's just waiting for compounding and stuff to do its thing. It's just working in the background. It's taken a long time to kind of get here. And now I'm like, time compounding, just keep doing the same thing.
Time just keeps going.
But yeah, every time we've had kind of an episode where we talked about our finances, it's still continuing to compound. It's still going up, whatever, 7%, 8%, 10% per year at least. So
what's been your biggest lesson so far?
I think it's money and finances is never really boring. Like, is that weird to say that? Because like sometimes I'll be like, I'm going to go record a podcast and I'll have friends or family be like, still, like how many episodes can you talk about finances for?
Yeah, okay, I get that. Because I was thinking sometimes my personal finances bore me, but it's a good thing because you don't want things to be on edge all the time. Personally, you want things to just work in the background automatically. But yes, the topic, there's always things to talk about with the economy, with new things that we've learned, new things that we want to try, definitely.
And especially like talking to individual people, I'm always like, oh, that's interesting. Like if someone's got an inheritance, what are you going to do with that? What would I do with that if I was in that situation? Like there's always conversations around that. Or similarly, if you come across deciding whether you want to pay your HECS debt or whether you want to put money down on a first home deposit, like those kind of conversations are so interesting because they're nuanced. They're never going to be exactly the same for you as it is for someone else, as it is going to be for me. So I find that it's always interesting. It's always fascinating. And I'm always like learning from a different perspective, even if I feel like I know a lot of the information. It's just not boring, or at least it hasn't been. I don't know.
I love that. So in summary, money is not boring. It's very interesting.
At the end.
We have done 200 episodes, which is a lot. We would love to hear from you about any other topics you want us to cover, any other like episodes you want us to do an updated version on, maybe any other guests you'd love for us to chat to. And if you have a question, please send us a voice note. We would love to play out your voice note out loud and respond to it. I feel like that would be really fun.
Well, especially because we have 200 under our belt. And if we're aiming for another 200 at least, what do you want that to look like?
Yes.
So I would love to hear as well from the audience about that, our community. And Tash, like, what do you want to see in the next 200 episodes?
I cannot think that far. That's crazy. I can't even comprehend being here. Like considering this 2.5 years ago, I never would have thought it would have lasted this long and like being what it is today. I'm more of a, let's see what happens. Keep an open mind. But I hope we'll still be here. Maybe we'll have a better studio set up at home. Maybe we'll have fancy looking cameras. I don't know. But I'm hoping we're still having cool conversations.
Absolutely. Great.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you found this episode helpful, please rate us 5 stars, write a review, or share with a friend. If you're new to investing, make sure to listen to our first 10 episodes. Follow us at Get Rich Slow Club or Tash at Tash Invests or me at Ana Cristina.
The Get Rich Slow Club podcast is a collaboration between Tash Etchman from Tash Invest and Ana Cristina from Pearler. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing. So make sure you check out our financial services guides and read the product disclosure statement and target market determination for any investments you're considering. See our show notes for more info. Any advice is general and does not consider your financial situation, needs, or objectives, so consider whether it's appropriate for you. This show was brought to you by Natasha Etchman, who is an authorized representative 1299881 of Guideway Financial Services, AFSL 420367, and Pearler, who is an authorized representative 1281540 of Sanlam Private Wealth, AFSL 337927. The Get Rich Slow Club acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land we record on. From coast to coast, across land, waters, and communities, we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging.